Wow, this is a wonderful day, and I just want to talk about priorities. Priorities in relationships. Talk about marriage. Marriage is so important to our society today, but we find many marriages are having challenges simply because either the husband or the wife is saying, my wife does not pay the right attention to me. And every marriage works on principles, every marriage. Now there are principles that you must apply for your marriage to work. Just like a car, you don't get into a car and put in a gear for it to move forward. You have to put the right gear for it to move forward, otherwise it will stall. And in the same way, when it comes to marriage, you can be so prayerful, you can be so nice, but yet you find your marriage breaking, because marriage works by principles. Just like the good book says, husbands, love your wife, and wives, see that you respect your husbands. Because God knows how He created man. He created man with a need for respect, and He created a woman with a need for love. But as I said, I want to talk about priorities. Priorities in marriage is so important. And I want to say that everything has to fall in order for that marriage to work. Now, let me start by saying the most important and the top most that needs to be given the highest priority in every marriage, it is God. Because God is the one who is the author of every marriage. Therefore, when you respect God in that marriage, then your marriage has got a very high chances of survival. Now they say people who are religious have very low chances of breaking up or divorcing or separating. Therefore, God, when He's put in the right place in that relationship, then it begins to do well. Now, number two, important thing is your spouse. Now, somebody may be saying, what? I thought it was our parents. No. When it comes to marriage, the word of God says, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife. In fact, cleaving. Cleaving means holding fast to that woman. Now, when you leave your father and your mother, they deserve your honor, but your wife becomes your priority or your husband becomes your priority. Therefore, you need to understand that if, for example, your mother calls and your wife calls, now there could be a clash. In your mind, you could be saying, let me pick my mother's call because she needs my honor. It is true. But your wife, you're one. You became one flesh. So when you're picking the wife of the call of your wife, it's like you're paying priority to yourself. And I'm not saying that you dishonor your parent. Now, let me say this. Anytime something that is of lower priority goes higher in priority, then there is an imbalance. Now, for example, if God becomes number two and you honor your spouse more than God, then there will always be a clash. There will be chaos in that relationship. So remember this. Why do you have to honor your husband or your wife as second priority after God? Number one, you're one flesh. And there is nobody in this world who you can be considered to be one flesh. Nobody. It is your spouse. Therefore, they are so important. Wherever you go, they are there because they are your flesh. Now, the number three priority. Now, I know you're still thinking, my mom, my dad. No, it is your children. Now, let me say this. You already left your parents, and now you already got children. Now, children will be there more than even your parents. In case of anything that happens, it is your children who will be the first one to answer that call, because there is a connection that is so valuable to those children, because you have raised them up and they value you. So you must pay that priority, because at the end of the day, these are the people that God has given you a responsibility of raising up and changing and showing them the way they should go. Your parents are already too old for you to direct them. So those children are so important because they are like a gift given to you. Number four. Now I know you're still thinking about parents. No. It is your work. Because your work is so important. Your work ensures that you provide for your wife and you provide for your children. Now let me say this, if you do not have work, it will be impossible to have that marriage. Therefore, you need to respect work. But I say this again, especially to men. You know, men are defined by work. Now ask, when two men meet anywhere, the first question they ask each other, what are you doing or what do you do? Because that is what defines them. And most men think that they're impressing their wives when they tell them, I was late working. And the wife is thinking in her head, you should have been here at home. Let me say this, even the word of God says very carefully that when sun comes up, man goes to work until evening. And after that, he goes back home and animals come out. So, when you take more time beyond evening to be at work, you are stealing your family's time. Unless they have given you permission to stay that long. And that is why you find so many relationships are this. They have instability because the wife is complaining, I no longer see you at home. The children are complaining, we no longer see you at home. And some, almost the TV, if you had to talk, it would say the same. We are missing you at home. So men, it is a high time to you to know that you need to put priorities right. If you're going to do any job that is either beyond the normal working hours, then your wife needs to be aware of it. You need to be in consent. Otherwise, that is why so many men are unhappy, because you come home, you find an angry wife who is saying, I hate your job. It is not that she hates your job because of what you're doing or the kind of job it is. It's simply because that job is competing with her time. So begin to give your wife priority in case you have to take a job that takes you away from home more than the normal hours. Number 5, in the line of priorities, that is where your parents come in. Am I saying that it is dishonor? No. What I'm saying, you need to understand that all these other things are so important, because if they get out of instability, then everything begins to collapse. Now, if you put your parents where your children are, then your children will begin to feel like you're taking them for granted. You know, I've spoken to quite a number of children that have gone through counseling, and sometimes they say, we never ever enjoyed ourselves because maybe our grandparents were always there. I'm not saying it is wrong for them to be there, but they felt like they were given too much priority. It is good to honor your parents, it is good to meet their needs, but let it be in the right order. Now, and finally, that is where I come to friends. Friends have broken homes, especially sometimes women have got these grouping things, they want to go there, and sometimes they are so passionate about meeting that even they will leave a husband and the children without food simply because they have a group meeting. And so we say it is important to put priorities in order, because when your husband feels that he's in the right priority, when your wife feels that she's in the right priority, the same thing with the children, then that marriage begins to work in the right way and you will not have issues. Most of all these things are in the mind, but as I say, when something that is in the lower priority, especially something like friends, begin to take the place of your wife or your husband, then your husband or your wife may hate them, and that is not what it's supposed to be. So look at your marriage, have a good analysis, and begin to make those changes. And I can assure you, when you make those changes, your marriage will be happier, and you will thank God that you listened to this broadcast. I want to say something. Remember to subscribe to this channel, and remember to share widely with your friends. God bless you.